This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Welcome back to Party Loaded. This is episode 23 for Wednesday, the 27th of April. I am here with 3/4 of the crew tonight. I'm, of course, Luke Retallick, and we also have Ollie. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Sup?
We have Jam.
Hola.
Cool. And we have no Imogen tonight, unfortunately, because she's being a responsible adult, which is a really depressing thought.
So responsible and grown up.
Yeah, so we all agreed that she couldn't be on tonight because this is a show about anything but responsible adults. We like to be the complete opposite end of that spectrum, so yeah. But it is freaking cold. How are you guys holding up? It's like...
I have a house. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I have a blankie.
Do you not have a thing called walls?
I do, but I get so caught up in what I'm doing, especially late at night, where I just keep on gaming and just forget to actually take care of my comforts.
Yeah, I don't want you to
Do
elaborate.
you not have
thanks.
a thermostat? You can just
no.
go, what temperature would I like my house? It will be this.
I have skin that does the same job, right? I think you can usually...
Your whole
tell.
house?
No.
That's horrifying.
I couldn't give a crap about the rest of my house. Come on. It's not like I've got kids sleeping down the other end of the house or anything. No. Good.
Yeah, they're fine.
They can sort themselves out. They're old enough. Yeah. Anyway, I like to stay warm and cozy late at night, curled up with a pot of hot coffee or chocolate and some video games. So should we talk about some of those?
I guess.
All right. Ollie, you're up first.
Because I'm so enthusiastic sounding.
This is your punishment. You must talk about games. Hang on. That's totally not a punishment.
My day. No, that's actually completely fine. So I played some more Dark Souls 3.
Sweet.
Which is not too bad. I'm enjoying that. It's going a lot smoother than the previous ones. I don't know because I've just built up experience across the other games, but I'm not finding it as punch in the dick hard as I did the other ones.
Are you rolling a lot?
I do not stop.
Yeah.
Like, if it basically goes, oh, there's a boss fight. All right, I'm just not going to release the roll button except to attack and occasionally drink a potion if I fuck up.
It's hard to get punched in the dick if your groin's to the ground, I guess. So.
Exactly. It's amazing just watching a knight in like heavy armor just roll for up to 5 to 10 minutes, just going.
Wow.
Yeah. You do what you got to do.
It's funny. There's been a bunch of clips posted on Facebook this week of various different movies with people rolling around for no reason. Like Galaxy Quest
so
Oh,
was a
funny.
classic one with Tim Allen doing the whole barrel roll out of the ship while the rest of his crew just walks behind him.
One of my
That is
favourite
Dark
movies.
Souls the game versus every other like action game.
Yep. Nice.
I also played some Move or Die, which was quite fun. Much to Luke's happiness, I've now played Enter the Gungeon. I played that on PS4. Much to his annoyance, I found it very easy. So that was good.
To be fair, I just need to bank some more time, I think.
I played it for like an hour, not even.
But 1 hour on a game like that for you is like, 4 hours for me, and I will fully appreciate and acknowledge that. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Also had a mate helping me going, oh, you want to do this? I'm like, oh yeah, that works, thanks. I then played a couple of little browser games. So I played a little game called Tag Pro. But I'm going to let Jamie elaborate on that one. It's basically you play Capture the Flag, but you're a bouncy ball that goes around the map. I then played some of the most intense PvP I've ever encountered in the slither.io game, where you're a snake and you're trying to eat things and get bigger and occasionally eat other snakes. And yeah, man.
Is that how we're pronouncing it? Is it slither.io or is it slitherio?
I'm going to say like that because that's what you type into the URL.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So if people go, so what's slither.io? Type it in. Oh, there it is. So
I always assumed it was because it was available on Apple phones, that it was like iOS, and that was where it was from.
That might be
I
where
will
it
shrug
started.
my shoulders, but the audience cannot see that.
Okay, cool.
I then played a nice little update for Rocket League called Hoops. Yes, I wrote that many O's, so I have to say it like that. So, this is a mode for Rocket League, which is essentially basketball. So the map is much smaller. It's probably, I want to say,
Crazy small.
would you say a third to a quarter size?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ceiling's lower as well.
Yeah,
And instead
quite
of the
low.
goals that are on the side, there's a raised circle that you have, like in a basketball ring, that you have to dunk the ball down into.
Hoop, in fact.
Madness. Don't be ridiculous. So yeah, that, and it's only 2v2, unless you're playing a private game, in which case you can have more. But, so much fun. This has now revitalized my love for Rocket League, because it's now taught me how to fly and do aerials properly. Well, starting anyway, I should say. I'm not doing crazy stuff like the other people that we play with. But yeah, I can actually interact with the ball in the air now rather than waiting for it to bounce, which is such a game changer. And it's all thanks to this game mode.
Speaking
Thanks,
of which,
Hoops.
I have questions. So
Sure, I will try to not answer them.
I'm actually curious because you said instead of making things bounce. Now, with a basketball style mode, is there any dribbling in this mode at all? Do you need to bounce the ball?
No more
No.
than any other game type, where dribbling in Rocket League is essentially you're bouncing the ball off the top of your car constantly,
Okay. So
and you can still do that in this game mode. It's actually quite beneficial because then it lets you set up a shot into the hoop because you have to
Right.
launch the ball up and over.
okay. All right.
So-
and how does the hoop situation work with regards to precision accuracy? I mean, regular
It's-
Rocket League's like a soccer style goal, isn't it? Where there's like a much larger
Yeah.
area. So how
Yes.
does that actually compensate in the hoops version?
It's a similar area. It's just instead of being a side surface, it's now a horizontal
It's-
surface.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's a
Yep.
clearance above the ground too. So the hoop's sitting perhaps like a couple of car lengths above the ground. There's a visible but transparent
Translucent.
curved wall that leads from the ground up to the edge of the hoop. Cars can pass through it, but the ball can't. So that
Right.
makes the ball bounce back so that you have to feed it up
Or
and
upwards. Yeah.
over to get it in.
And do you get an increased score depending on how far away you take a shot from, or?
No, there's no 3-pointers.
Okay, all right.
But one of my favourite features for this is in normal Rocket League, your tyres screech when you do fast direction changes. In this one, when you do it, you get the squeaky basketball court sound. It's the best. So you're
It's
going,
fantastic.
and I'm like, oh, such a good.
That's awesome.
So good. So yeah, I really, really like that game mode. I am a fan.
Rocket
and I'll
League
try to play
is
it after
on
this.
sale at the moment as well, isn't it? I believe.
Sure. Oh, I should say this is a free update.
Ah, okay,
There is
cool.
a free update.
I
so
think
you
the
don't have
main
to pay
game,
money
unless
for
the
it.
sale has ended, is actually 40% off at the moment. So
Nice.
Very much worth it. There's also a bunch of new collectibles, so antenna and toposphere car, along with the game
Like
mode.
NBA flags and stuff like that.
And
It's very
worms.
cool. Yes, there's worms,
What were the other
portal,
ones?
a couple of other bits and bobs.
Yeah, good
I
fun.
don't care. I got a new game mode. I'm happy, and it's a good one as well.
yeah, it's still remarkable that given that this game has been out for what 2 years now, must be getting close to 2 years. That they're still releasing good quality free content like this. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, July 7th it came out, 2015.
Okay. Oh, okay. So not even 2 years. It feels like it's been 2 years.
Yeah, and it's no longer on sale on Steam. It's $20 on Steam.
Ah, okay. There you go.
Oh no, it's well worth it. Buy it. In fact, buy a 4-pack for $60 and then just get a team playing. There you go. That was not a sponsored plug. I wish it was.
So Tag Pro, Jamie, you can talk about that as well, I guess. So you've been
Yes.
playing Rocket League
She's much more informed.
and stuff, but I don't know anything
I
about this
have.
game. So
Okay, so Tag Pro, it's a really neat little top-down 2D capture the flag style thing. Really basic graphics, and you're a little ball. You're a little ball that rolls around, and you build up momentum as you roll. So once you've built up some momentum, it becomes harder to turn and to stop. If you roll over the opposition's flag, you pick it up, and it's just visible as like a little graphic above your ball, and you then become vulnerable to anyone from the other team who touches you. So you got to roll like crazy to get away and take it back to your base. You can only score though if your flag is at your base while you carry the other team's flag through it. So it's so cute. It's adorable. I used to play ages ago for such a long time. And then when we were looking for something that everyone could play on the weekend, we had about, 7 people online. We couldn't find a game that everyone had purchased and installed. And
Yeah,
my
we
brother and I
we
went,
got 8 going at one point.
oh,
It's
did
great.
we?
Yeah.
Oh,
At
so
4
much
vs 4.
fun. so great, and there's such a wide variety of levels with different little obstacles. You can have little spikes that you just explode if you hit them, or bombs which push people away, potentially into spikes. Good strategy.
This is sounding like recent move or die activity, but sure.
Yeah, it's so good. And some of the maps, there's only actually one flag in the middle. And if you pop someone who has it, you become the carrier. It's just heaps of fun. It's such a cute game. We played in private matches, but I know when I played about a year ago, it was such a fantastic community on the Australian server. Great bunch of people. And I was so glad that we played it just on a whim. It was wonderful. And that was a lead on from a bunch of us playing Slither, which is another browser-based game. The snake
Intense
one.
PvP, man.
Oh, it was unexpected. My brother just mentioned it to me. Have you heard this game Slither.io? I went, what?
Yeah, I heard about it during the week as well, which is why I was asking you about it. There's been a stack of YouTubers actually creating video on this thing.
Massive.
So, yeah.
Guess
It's
what?
massive. I can't
I'm
believe
playing it right now.
I was playing it just before we started. So you're a little tiny snake. At the beginning, there's a number. Your length is 10. 10 what? I don't know, but your length is 10.
10 units.
You're a tiny little worm, and you are just top down, sliding around.
On a hexagon field.
Yep, and there's little gubs everywhere. There's little glowing orbs. And as you pick those up or eat them with your face, you
Nom, 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 nom,
grow
nom.
a little bit. So if it's a tiny one, you might just get an extra 1. So you become from 10 to 11. If it's quite big, you'll grow quite a bit more. And the neat thing is, the only controls are you've got your mouse pointer. So your worm will always crawl towards your mouse pointer. And you can hold down the left button to speed. But if you do that, you lose length. And if you run out of length, you can't speed anymore. And as you run out of length or lose the length, you have the little orbs like flying out your butt. You leave a little trail behind for other worms to pick up and eat and grow stronger. It's really cute. You can turn, it's not like your original mobile snake game. You can actually turn back on yourself and cross over yourself quite fine. But if your face hits the side of any other snake, you die. Permadeath.
So your body can go over other snakes' bodies, just not your head?
No, you can't. If your body's... Well, they don't really touch because your tail follows your head.
Of course, yeah.
If your head hasn't crossed or can't cross through something, your body won't cross through.
Being able to double back on yourself is a huge difference to the old style games.
I'm doing it right now to avoid a giant one that's going to eat me.
Helpful. And it's so easy to forget sometimes. It can save you bacon in all sorts of ways. But the cool thing is when another snake dies, if you manage to zoom ahead, cut it off, and make it headbutt your butt, it turns into this glowing, its whole body turns into this massive glowing trail of orbs.
I'm currently numbing
which
that.
then everyone loses their shit over and rushes in to try and gobble up, which creates mistakes, more people dying, more panic, more chaos. Sometimes it's just glorious, but you can also get greedy and die, and that's what I tend to do. And the death is permanent and everything's temporary. There's no record of your account. You have no account, you just have a nickname. There's no way to join any particular server. It's random. You can keep refreshing and cycling through, though, to find the one your teams are in. And that's all based on a little temporary top 10, which is shown to you in the top corner. So it's just the longest snakes that are on the server at that particular time. So remember, starting as a 10-unit snake, in your top 10, you'll have people about 45,000 long.
Oh, wow.
Utterly massive. They've got some rewards and Chrome extensions, I think, that let you have different skins, which is cute. I haven't really looked into that, but it's just addictive.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like the sort of game that a lot of people are going to be at work skiving off to play in a browser window on their work computers.
Possibly.
I may have done that. Can I make a recommendation? Don't play it on a mobile device. It's so much better on an actual desktop. It's not funny.
Yeah.
But, I've played on a mobile device out of desperation because I wanted to play it during the week and I was on a train ride or something. Yeah. It's okay. It's not bad, but you can't see below your finger. It's hard to
and it's quick
zoom
to respond.
properly. Yeah.
Maybe better on iPad or something slightly larger.
That's what I was playing it on.
Yeah. Nice.
It's Mouse is definitely
Superior.
the best. But it's cute. It was fun getting a bunch of people on, all trying to join the same server. We were just going by the leader name. Some of the names are hilarious and so inappropriate. And then every now and then, because it's massive, you can have 500 people or I think up to 600 on one server. Somehow you end up in the same little spot. You're like, oh, hey, because you recognize each other's nickname. And then one of you tries to kill the other. Yep. Yep. It's wonderful. It's so great. If you're looking for something to pass the time, I mean, you could die 10 times in 2 minutes, or you could last half an hour and then flip out when you finally die because some stupid little mistake that you made. Quite amusing.
Yeah, there was a lot of saltiness when it was
I haven't managed
so
to crack.
fucking hilarious.
The best I've done is 5th place
Okay.
in a server, and I haven't gone above 17,000 in length. But I know some of our friends who've done far, far better. It's really cute. You should play it.
It is a last man standing sort of thing. It's not just people keep on getting added to the server or anything like
No,
that.
they do.
Yeah,
you can
it's
respawn as much as you like.
persistent in that the server's always up and there's always hundreds of people on each server.
So how does your ranking work? Is it just on length?
Based
At
on
that
length.
moment.
Your length is your score.
Ah,
And it's
gotcha.
only at that very, very moment.
Right. Okay.
There's different little strategies people employ too. If you're a big worm and there's another little one circling some gubs and you hope that they don't pay attention, you actually circle it. Then they've got nowhere to go. So they coil up and they start circling, trying to avoid hitting your sides, and you start shaving off some of the area they have available to them each time that you circle round. While you do that, a worm bigger than you could circle you. So you've got to be careful and cautious. Oh, it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
This sounds like fun. All right, cool. I'll check
You
that
should be
out.
playing it, and I don't know why you're not.
Yeah.
I'm playing it right now. I'm up
Other
to
than those
2,000.
browser games, Move or Die, we played a little bit of that. Super fun. I got a really cool costume, but I can't remember what it was. Can you remember what I got, Ollie?
Cannot.
Damn it. It was
Something-
funny.
Because I am a terrible.
Have you got your werewolf costume yet?
Oh, it was the pink. No. Oh, it was the little pink guy with the big tooth.
Oh, yeah, the pink
It was
cousin
like
itch.
a little
yes.
pink fluffy thing with one fang. I love it. It's cute.
Pink cousin itch
Gorgeous.
is what I called you.
Yes. And Stardew Valley. I have 2 goats now. Their names are Nanny and Manny. I got them just before I logged off last time, so I haven't even had a chance to watch them grow to adulthood yet. But, yeah, so cute. Super cute.
Yes. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Stardew Valley during the week as well. I've cut down the amount of time I'm spending on that game just slightly because I'm kind of, I realise that I still haven't scratched my itch for having a good narrative game, so I still, need to fire something up to satisfy that. I haven't pulled the cover off Witcher 3 just yet.
Oh, my God.
I know. I keep on talking about it. I came close a couple of times during the week, but then I actually instead ended up installing Mirror's Edge, which I bought during the Christmas sales on Steam, because the new Mirror's Edge is going to be coming out shortly. It actually just got delayed again, which is a little disappointing, but it gives me a bit more time to play the original, which is cool. So that's going to be coming out in June now, I believe. But it's getting a fair bit of decent press at the moment. The game, like a lot of the cutscenes and stuff have been starting to get leaked as part of the promotions, and it looks really good. So I'm not too far into the original yet. I've only played a little bit, but it's quite cool. I kind of know what it's about now. I've got a bit of a feel for how it sort of functions, the general gameplay style, which is
I would love
good.
to play that game on VR.
Yeah, that'd be sweet, actually.
That would be extraordinary. You'd probably be sick though.
I suspect that the only reason why the new one hasn't been developed for VR is it probably just missed the boat in terms of timing, because that would have been a great opportunity for them to do that for.
They should be working on an adaptation, surely.
Look, who knows?
It is kind of brilliant.
They've probably got other ideas for
Hey,
similar
Jamie,
style
you know that
things.
circling thing I just talked
Yeah.
about? Yeah, it just
Yeah.
happened to me. Or you talked about, sorry.
Nice.
I only got to 5,400.
Oh, that's a shame.
I am the worst.
During the week, I was sort of digging through my work bag and realised that my 3DS was still in there. So I thought, what was the last thing I was playing on this? So I pulled it out, and I realised I actually still hadn't finished the Zelda Link Between Worlds game. So I've been playing that a whole bunch during the week. And that game is super, super good. I don't know why I stopped playing it. Oh, wait, yes, I do. It's because I've been playing
You're a
Hearthstone.
magpie. You're a bloody magpie. Like, oh, something shiny, new game.
Yeah. Oh, look, to be fair, I don't
Throws
play
DS
my
over the shoulder.
3DS too much. More sort of while I'm going back into to and fro from work, like on public transport was kind of my gaming time, my handheld gaming time, which is almost exclusively Hearthstone these days, because I can't freaking put
then
that
Hearthstone
game down.
came along and went nom 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 nom.
Pretty much. Hearthstone is that giant snake that just circled you in terms of my gaming life. So, yeah. But yeah, speaking of which, the expansion is finally out. So we had some big stuff this week. We had standard format coming in and wild format coming in and all of the card nerfs and the new expansion hitting. And I may have been up to about 4 a.m. watching Twitch feeds last night of people opening packs. It was lots of fun. So,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really.
You know what I basically heard when you and our mate Simo just went, "Hey, it's our new expansion." You know that Lonely Island song, "Jizz in My Pants"? That is what I heard. That is what I heard.
That's probably fair, because that's exactly what it felt like from our end. So, yeah.
Oh, God. Sticky and embarrassing for
Oh,
everyone.
man. Game is super good. I won't talk too much more about it, because I think I've covered all of the key points in
Because I'll
recent
hang
episodes.
up. You're right.
Yeah. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I did actually take gameplay video of me opening up my 100 packs, so I'm probably going to post that at some point soon for anyone who's interested in checking that sort of thing out.
Who watches not to sound rude, but who watches someone opening
will.
packs?
Lots of people, but I talked about the cards while I was doing
Why?
it, so yeah. It's not just opening packs. I actually talked about the cards in the set too.
Okay, that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's it. Bit of a mini
Ish.
sort of set review. I didn't go through every card, just some of the more interesting ones. So yeah, I'll post something on the Twitter feeds once that's up and available. But yeah, super fun, really, really good. I'm probably going to be playing a fair bit of that in the next week, so that's probably going to push back Witcher
No,
a
you're
little
not,
further.
see, because in the next week you have to play Hatterful Boyfriend,
Yeah.
and you have to date all of the pigeons.
All that pigeon.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to eat my Brussels sprouts apparently. So, god damn it, that game.
Can't have your dessert before you finish your hatful boyfriend.
Yep, I'm worried about.
Oh, you'll
That
be
game.
fine. You'll probably like it and you'll be like, oh no, what have I
wait to compare
become?
notes.
Ollie. If I like it, that's probably going to say more than anything else. And
Oh, you're
that's-
not going to
that's fine.
like it, man, but I just want to see who you choose.
Okay.
Well, I don't get the feeling I'm actually going to really like this game. I was going to be like, no, I actually quite like it.
I suspect
That's
that
nice. You have those high expectations.
I will.
you're probably going
I
to
am going
enjoy
to
the
have them.
pain that the game inflicts on others more than it actually,
Yes.
agreeing with you gameplay wise.
Probably
They're just
fair.
getting glee at your reaction, Luke.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
going to be
Exactly.
smiling.
Yeah.
I already have a big grin on my face right now.
Me too.
It'll be a fun review next episode, one way or another, I'm sure. Anyway.
I took notes, man. I've got notes.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
God. I promise not to go that hardcore into the research of that one.
It's not that hardcore. It's like it's short.
I
and
hope not. It's
just
only
two-
birds. Ugh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
2 pages of just rubbish.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Well, anyway, we've got some interesting news this week. Let's just kick off with the obvious one and sort of tear the band-aid off and get it out of the way. Now, I did mention before, the new expansion, Whispers of the Old Gods for Hearthstone, is now live. Recommend to all Hearthstone players to hop into your game client and claim all of your free packs, because there are a lot of them. Everyone who plays the game and logs in pretty much from now onwards will get 3 free packs of Whispers of the Old Gods, as well as 3 free cards. So you actually get one of the legendaries, Cthulhu, who's one of the 4 Old Gods, straight off the bat, and a couple of his followers. And if you do a couple of really simple quests in there around playing games in the new standard format, you can actually get an additional 10 free packs. So 13 free packs basically just for playing the game, which is a pretty good deal. They haven't actually been that
Seems
generous in the
adequate.
past. Yeah, it's good. And all the changes are really handy. They've actually replaced one of the emotes as well. There was like a sorry emote, which is now a wow emote. So I think all of the Canadians must be really broken up about that. So, yeah, now instead of being sarcastically sorry when you basically smash someone's face in the game, you can be sarcastically wowing them. It's, I'm sure
That's a step in the right direction. I like that one.
probably,
Because,
yeah.
wow, I'm so amazing is so much better than, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just pulverizing you.
Oh, look, it's probably appropriate with some of the new cards too, because some of the RNG with a few of the new bigger creatures is just like
Random number generator.
ridiculous.
For those of you playing at home.
Yeah. So, like, one of the Old Gods, for instance, actually casts a random spell for every single spell that you've cast during the game up until that point when you drop it. So you can literally have up to like 40 to 80 spells firing off at random, targeting you or your opponent, and that's
just very
nuts.
silly.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good fun.
It's
though.
very, very silly.
Yeah, apparently the Blizzard devs, when they were working on that card, actually kept a tally in the office as to how many times they'd committed suicide by accident when they played it. So,
I can only imagine.
yeah, which is good. But yeah, the news dropped just earlier in the week prior to the expansion hitting that Hearthstone has now passed the 50 million players milestone.
Which is fucking insane.
Extraordinary. Wait, how many of those are like multiples of Luke?
49 million.
Only me and one other. Come on. But I don't know how many people have done the same thing I have. So, could very well be 25.
I hope none.
Yeah.
I know of at least a few. So anyway, yeah. But no, that's super awesome. And if the traffic on Twitch last night was any indication, I am not surprised in the slightest, because holy moly, it was
Twitch
busy.
exploded.
Yeah, it was busy in there last night. I mean, the servers for the game actually coped reasonably well considering how many people would have been playing it during the launch too. It ground down a little bit, and the shop was a bit wonky for about half an hour, but everything was reasonably smooth. So pretty good effort on Blizzard's behalf, and good launch, I think. So yeah. In other Blizzard news, they there was a bit more on what we talked about last week with regards to the Nostralius WoW server, the private independent server running the vanilla version of the game getting shut down by Blizzard. So in something that it's kind of unprecedented, because they've never actually gone ahead and explained, any legal action that they've taken before properly. They've actually posted a statement about why they shut this particular one down. I think, Ollie, you've had a look at their explanation as well, and I personally think that they're fully justified and the explanation makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Despite the disappointing result, I can completely understand why they've done it.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people are sort of, pushing back and saying, why, spoil people's fun. They're not hurting anybody. It's not like they're going to be paying Blizzard money anyway. They're just sort of, why can't they just make a version of the game available that, used to be available to players? It's kind of like what they thought they were getting when they purchased it originally. Why can't they just have that? Yada, yada, yada. And the comparison's been made a lot to, things like the original Warcraft games. Like, you can play Warcraft 3 now, and it's exactly the same as Warcraft 3 that you had when you bought it on launch. So why isn't WoW the same thing? No, ignoring the obvious, issue around an MMO being a completely different style game. But yeah, so but Blizzard has sort of turned around and made it really clear that part of the reason why they did it is because of the way that intellectual property law works. If you don't demonstrably protect your IP, then anyone can basically run riot and use it, and you haven't got a leg to stand on as far as the precedent that you're setting. So
yeah, if you don't care about it, you're not allowed to care about it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen other games companies sort of, fall into this kind of pattern in the past as well. I mean, Ollie, you and I are no strangers to, the efforts of Games Workshop in particular, sort of protecting their intellectual property very zealously, which has, made them quite a few enemies in terms of the public eye. But, it's the same sort of reason involved. They have to do it.
It's as harsh as it is. Like, the reality of it sucks for the consumers or the players. But it sucks for the company more long term if they don't do something about it.
Yeah.
Because then they're just opening themselves up to all sorts of IP fuckery.
Yeah. I think one of the primary issues behind this whole thing is probably the PR side of how Blizzard handled obviously, large customer base that actually wants a previous version of the game to be available, like an older server version of, WoW before all of the expansions hit. And, when they actually got asked this question on stage, I think it was at BlizzCon last year, I can't remember if it was Mike Morhaime or one of the other Blizzard devs actually turned around and said, no, we would never do that. You think you want it, but you don't. And it was almost like a really patronizing style reply to the legitimate question that a lot of people had. But they seem to be backpedaling a little bit on that now and sort of saying that, it is actually something they're discussing at the moment, which is interesting. I can't imagine a world where Blizzard would ever release previous versions of the World of Warcraft servers, because it just doesn't, in my mind, make sense how that would work in reality. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that's ever a possibility in terms of, fragmenting their player base, or does that sound like a lot more trouble than it's worth?
I could actually see them doing it.
Yeah?
If it's still
I genuinely
subscription
could.
based.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if the money they're getting from those, I'm going to use air quotes here that you can't see, air quotes, classical servers, as long as that is greater than the maintenance cost of those servers, why wouldn't they do it?
Do you not think it comes across as a bit of a admittance that, yes, we realise that our latest and greatest new thing is not all that?
No.
It's nostalgia.
Like, put it this way.
Yeah.
I have games on my PC that are from the 90s.
Yep.
Like, I have Magic Carpet 2
Jesus.
on here. Yeah, exactly. Because I like the game. Does that mean I'm saying F you to Magic Carpet 3 and 4? Look, potentially, but at the end of the day, that company's still got the money. Like, it's like saying you're not allowed to like the first movie in a trilogy because the second and third movies came out.
Yeah.
It's unusual for an MMO model, though.
Yeah, it would be probably the first, I'd say.
I agree.
Yeah.
That being said, I could see them doing it. Will they do it? Probably not. But if they do, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. What I'm really curious about is if they did pull the trigger and try that, how much it would be revealed if the player base that was playing on, say, Nostralis were actually playing the game on that server because of the fact that they could do it free, and how many of them would actually pay to continue to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah, but there was like 100,000 of them, I think. So it's quite a large number. It's certainly not one that Blizzard can ignore, considering that their subs have dropped back to, at last count, it was probably around the 5 or 6 million mark, which, it's halved effectively in the last 12 to 18 months. So
Hearthstone is more than making up for it, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good point. Yeah.
Like, oh no, our more expensive servers are getting less people. Well, conveniently, our cheaper to run ones are getting millions more. This is acceptable.
Yep. Agreed. So did you guys catch all the Nintendo news bites that came out today? We could probably be...
So
the headlines.
A couple of them, yeah.
Yeah. So it appears that the NX, Nintendo's long-rumoured new next-generation console, is going to be coming out next year. So they've actually released the launch date. It's going to be out in March 2017. So
it's no Wii, but look, I'll live with that name. Okay with it.
Well, I mean, NX may not be the final name. We actually don't know.
I actually hope it is, because in the off chance they call it something horrible like the Wii or the Wii U. Because goddamn, what the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it? But
a little bit.
Hey, it worked. It was madly successful when it was released.
Well, in terms of the Wii, it did. But in terms of the
what
Wii
do I know
U,
then?
Yeah. I'm actually wondering now whether Nintendo is going to make the same mistake that they made with the Wii U. Because March next year is not that far away. They've actually said as part of this information reveal that they will not be previewing the console at E3 this year, which is what everybody thought was going to happen given the timelines involved. So is Nintendo going to leave it relatively late to actually get the information out there to the public about what this new console is? And I remember back when the Wii U came out, probably one of the biggest factors that contributed to its failure to launch effectively was the fact that nobody truly understood what the hell it was. So people weren't sure if it was an add-on to the Wii, whether it was a whole new console, how the gamepad actually functioned with the machine. It just really wasn't clear to a lot of people. They just didn't get the message out as effectively as they should have. So is that going to happen again? I'm not sure. What do you guys think from what you know? If
you're basically going, we're releasing a new console, how can it be anything other than it's a new console? Like... Not to sound... I'm going to piss off a lot of people by saying this, but how dumb do you have to be to not realise they're releasing a console? Oh, cool, it's the next-gen console. Sweet. Done.
Consider, though...
How is that confusing?
A lot of the information about what's going on with it at the moment is to do with... they've sort of alluded to the fact that it's going to be a mobile-style hybrid with how the console works.
So what you're saying is it's a more advanced version of what they have already?
Well, it could be that, or it could be something that actually functions with mobile devices. So
that's, again, completely fine. Basically all they're doing then is they're just upgrading the gamepad.
Yeah.
I think it's still entirely possible to get the message out with sufficient demonstration to show people what it can do, what it should do, and why people should buy it if they have a good marketing strategy, and they don't necessarily have to hit E3, considering it's 9 months before release. If they can work it into other conferences and expos and whatnot, and just make it available for, key media people and perhaps some demographics to get their hands on it to spread the word. It might be a little trickier, but I can see how they might not be prepared.
So the other thing that was talked about as part of the big news update was, of course, some information about the upcoming Legend of Zelda game, which we all assumed was going to be the big, Legend of Zelda Wii U release. But they have now confirmed that that's going to be delayed to 2017. Which, of course, puts it square in territory of an NX release. And, of course, that's what they've said they're going to do. It's actually going to launch, apparently, at the same time on both consoles. So,
both consoles.
That
Both
is a
consoles.
twist.
I was thinking if it's going to be just for the NX, that would be a huge boost to...
Well, it would
the
piss a lot of
sales,
Wii U
but-
owners off, I could tell you that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's not too dissimilar to... the one that I remember most recently was probably GTA, because even though GTA didn't come out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 at the same time as PS4 and Xbox One, the separation in time between the two releases wasn't that great. I think it was just a few months.
It was a year.
Was it a full year? It wasn't that long, was it?
I think so. I played on the 360 for a year, then I played on Xbox One for a year.
Really?
Maybe I picked it up later, though.
Maybe I've got
I
that.
thought it was a year, though, because it was a pretty massive jump. And then a year after it came out on Xbox One.
Oh, no, sorry,
came out on
I'm
PC.
wrong. What I'm thinking of is Titanfall. Titanfall was the one launched on both at the
yes.
same time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a very high-profile launch title for next gen, but it was released at the same time on current gen or, previous gen at that time. So, this is almost going to be the same sort of situation, and one would wonder whether the delay in launching that is to do with them sort of optimizing it for the new sort of technology console. I'd suspect it probably has a fair bit to do with it. But, I mean, I'm okay with the delay as far as, having polished games go. We've certainly had our fill in recent years of undercooked games, having massive issues on launch. So, given that choice, I'd always prefer a delay to get something that's better. And Nintendo's reputation is pretty decent in that regard, I think. I don't know, Ollie, are you looking forward to playing Zelda on whatever console you have
I'm not a
access to?
huge Zelda fan, but I might if it's a good game. Yeah. I do like good games, so I'm not just going to be like, it's a Zelda game, buy it. But if they're like, it's a really good game that happens to be Zelda, then I'll go, yeah, all right.
I have not played a bad Zelda game yet. I know that there's a couple out there that maybe are
There's
into
some
that territory.
very grindy ones.
Yeah.
Very grindy.
I mean, given how important the IP is to Nintendo, it's very rare that they're going to take too many risks with it. So, Hyrule Warriors accepted, which is the recent one they've had a lot of problems with. And Nintendo have also been talking about their plans confirmed for a couple of upcoming mobile titles as well. So, looks like Animal Crossing is actually coming to mobile.
That's amazing.
Which is pretty cool.
I might actually get that.
Yeah. Have you played Animal Crossing?
I have, back in the day. And I know that's how I sold Stardew Valley to Kate, my sister.
Ah, nice.
It's like, it's a lot like Animal Crossing. You love Animal Crossing. Yeah, it's just like Minecraft. I'd spend so long waiting. It's one of those games that's just so soothing when I do the repetitive tasks. I love it.
I have not played it yet, but my son owns it, so I might have to check it out and see. I've got to say, though, the last couple of years at PAX, there were millions of people playing it. So, I mean, as I was
popular.
As I was street passing people, when you street pass, I don't know if you know this, but when you street pass someone, you actually see what game they've most recently played on their DS. And the number of times that Animal Crossing New Leaf was coming up was just ridiculous. So,
that's fantastic.
That and system settings, I think, were the two most common.
Good old system settings. What a fun game.
Yep. And the other one that's coming to mobile apparently is Fire Emblem. Which I know is a game that's done very, very well for them in the not too recent past. So, not too distant past, I mean. So it's a relatively recent success. So yeah, pretty cool. More mobile games that are actually games as opposed to the Miiverse sort of simulation that they released recently. I think it'd be pretty cool. And but I mean, that wasn't all. There was apparently some bad news too, because Nintendo also talked about their recent financials, and looks like their profits are down quite a bit, 61% in fact. But
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah, but still profit, right?
Yeah, they're still making
Yeah,
a
but
profit.
that's a big
Yeah.
drop.
But from what I understand, they've been so sensible with their finances, they can afford to run at loss for a very long time.
Nintendo have a
Yeah, that's still not
gigantic war
ideal.
chest. Yeah, they've
No,
got a
it's
ridiculous
not.
amount.
But if they're working towards a new console release, then fingers crossed, that's going
That's
to be
true.
the bump that they need.
Yeah, they're not making a loss, and to be fair, their profit was anticipated to be around 17 billion yen, and they made 16.5 billion yen, so they weren't too far off their prediction, but their prediction was low to begin with compared to what they'd been doing in years previous to that. So, their mobile sales are making up a fairly massive part of the growth area. The Wii U units haven't done, particularly well for them. But the big difference this year as well is that they didn't have any really massive games in their stable. I mean, probably the biggest things they had previous to that was Mario Maker and Smash Brothers, which were a big part of the lineup last year. But it's been a while since a major release like that for Nintendo. So, and given that they've now said that they're delaying Zelda, that's going to create an even bigger gap for them. So it'd be interesting to see what the result of that is. It's probably going to be continuing in the current trend for a little while longer, at least. But
Yeah, but I think the development for mobile devices is an excellent move, which is going to help them so much. It's just going to broaden their reach in the marketplace just phenomenally, and people will be playing everywhere.
And to be fair, they can probably turn around those sort of development projects a bit quicker as well. So
Possibly.
yeah,
Nowhere near as much coding for a mobile game as it is for a full console game.
no, absolutely. And you immediately hit a bigger audience, for a lot of them too, which is pretty smart. So
Yeah, who already have the hardware.
Yeah, so Nintendo Miiverse game, or I say game in inverted commas, it's really, really not my thing, and I suspect probably not your thing either for either of you, but there is no denying that it's been pretty successful for them. So, they know their market and they cater to it pretty effectively. So if that's what it is, that's what it is. So other stuff, we also had a bit of Uncharted 4 news this week. So Uncharted 4 is due out on the 10th of May. I am eagerly awaiting that. I'll be picking up my copy on day dot, I think. But apparently some people have managed to get hold of some early copies about 2 weeks before release. And
Yes.
there's a couple of mixed stories on this one, which I found quite interesting. One is that a few retailers have screwed up and started selling it early because they still had on record the original release date, which of course has been pushed back, and they somehow screwed it up and had the old dates. I find that weird because I think to myself, how did they get stock that early to begin with? Because usually that is, the thing that holds up games getting out into the wild, that they don't actually ship the units until closer to the date. But on top of that, apparently in the UK, an entire truckload of the games has been hijacked. So, yeah, that's an interesting
Very
one.
Uncharted-like.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
sad.
look. Main character would be proud.
Oh.
Yeah. This actually it's not the first time this has happened. So about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, in May 2015, the same thing happened with a massive truckload of Splatoon as well in the UK. So it's pretty
Wow.
funny.
You're a UK delivery driver. Watch out.
Yep.
Them nerds are going to get you.
You got to wonder if it's the same people or whether they
I
just...
hope it is.
Yeah.
It's like an Ocean's 11 of game thieves,
Yep.
which is sad but adorable at the same time.
Well, I wonder if they actually knew what they were stealing or whether they just, took a...
Yeah, that's always the real question.
Yeah.
Did they just go, oh, it's games?
Yep.
Shit.
It's a truck full of electronic goods. Let's just nab it, as opposed to,
Yeah,
oh my
exactly.
God, Uncharted 4, this truck is ours.
Yeah, I am curious for that.
But,
If you're listening to this podcast, please send us a statement.
Yeah. Naughty Dog are getting on the front foot of it, though, and putting a lot of information out in the press to try and warn people, to stay away from potential spoilers, which is fair because it's a fairly story-driven game and you don't want that kind of thing ruined for you. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm not interested in looking at any of that at all until I play the game myself. I haven't played any of the Uncharted games, and I sure as shit don't want to wreck the first one I try. So, yeah.
See, that's surprising. What you should? Oh, you should play the others.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are really good.
I'm keen. I will probably get the Drake collection at some point. It's just a time thing for me. You know, just going through and playing those games is going to be a fair chunk of hours. So I'll have to work out when I can do it. Speaking of full chunk of hours or fair chunk of hours, Fallout 4. Remember that game?
Woo!
Mods. Mods are coming to Fallout 4 on PC and console apparently. So you're going to get some mod action, Ollie? Is that going to drag you back to the game?
Yes. I'll be honest. Normally, with the big open world games like I'll use Fallout 3 and Skyrim as an example, and New Vegas, I mod the shit out of it. Mostly visual mods, I should say, not often gameplay mods. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I actually didn't do anything for Fallout 4 mod-wise. I was like, And I only really noticed after I finished the game. I was like, I didn't actually mod it.
Well, Bethesda did the sensible thing and actually ran a beta for this kind of stuff in most of this month. And now they've actually opened up what's called the Creation Kit, which is a suite of tools that allows people to create their own mods for Fallout 4. But what surprised me is that they're actually planning to bring it to consoles a lot sooner than I think a lot of people expected. So they're planning to have it available for them in June, which is really cool.
I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to work.
There's more than 100 of them available already for people on PC. So, people will come up with some pretty wacky stuff. It'll be interesting. I'm sure there'll be some just drop-dead gorgeous ones out there. People doing
And
ridiculous.
a lot of rude stuff.
Oh,
Don't forget the rude stuff.
I'm pretty sure the first mod in any fucking game like this is the nude skin mod.
Yeah. It's
Let's
tradition.
be honest now. It is a tradition. It is a tradition. It's a bad one, but it's a tradition and we're going to stick to it. We're very British like that. We might not like it, but we'll do it because it's traditional.
Also, supply and demand.
Sorry?
Supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, it's true. Cool.
Hang on. Nexus mods. Here we go. Let's have a look. I'm just intrigued.
I'm actually going to... Let's put this to the test right now and see if the nude mod is one of the first things that comes up.
I will have to include adult content.
Yep.
That is not unreasonable. Why is this so slow?
So...
Oh, Nexus mods, you failed me.
Aww.
Why have you done this? Oh no, there we go. We're up. Alright.
Logging into Steam.
Well, I'm on Nexus mods and I've scrolled down the first page. Oh, I need to include adult content. Haha. That will help. Alright, adult content is in. It's the third most popular.
Hey, wait, what's beating it? See what I did there?
That was...
Yeah, you don't...
Wait, where did you become Luke?
You don't want to bet it too
Why?
hard because it'll fall
Sorry,
out.
Imogen.
We lost one and gained another. No.
So what are the first two?
Texture optimization and armor smith.
Okay.
So more armor creation and just textures working better.
Texture optimization, to be fair, could contribute to the pornographic aspect of the other one. So
But it's true.
yeah.
Complimentary.
I'm sure that was a riveting minute for our listeners. I don't apologise.
Yeah.
Blame Luke. It's his editing at work, so
Go check out porn on Fallout 4. Job done. All right.
Oh,
Should we move on to the main topic of the evening and segue off of that one?
let's.
Yeah.
Please.
All right, Ollie, what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about tabletop games go digital. So not only tabletop games that have then been adapted to the digital format, but also digital games that emulate the tabletop game experience.
So it's a pretty timely topic, and we kind of planned this one out to coincide with...
Did we?
Imogen and I did, at least. You guys kind of
Okay,
just, you're along for the ride. But Geek and Sundry, maybe you've heard of them. They do a lot of online games-based content and general geekery. Yeah. So they've been running a thing for the last few years now, which has been spearheaded by the likes of Will Wheaton and Felicia Day and the rest of the Geek and Sundry crew, which is International Tabletop Day. So it's basically a massively promoted opportunity for everybody around the world to come together and celebrate the joy of playing tabletop games with groups of friends. So we've kind of done some ad hoc stuff for it in recent years without too much effort. It's kind of just fallen on a few days that we were going to play games anyways. We kind of just made it a bit more of a thing. So Yeah, which is fun. I mean, we are the sorts of gamers that, like many, many others, we don't just play video games. We play a whole bunch of other sorts of games, and we're all quite big tabletop gamers as well. So,
Yes.
Jamie, you and I have been playing board games for years and years and years and years. And
Yes.
Ollie and I go way back with miniature gaming as well, which we've been doing for longer than we've known each other, I think. So,
Yep.
that's many years now. So, and this is not uncommon. I think it's probably more of a blending of the worlds now than there ever has been before. And I was just saying to Ollie before that I think a lot of people who play tabletop games have sort of been aware of, the video games industry and what's out there. But the other way around is probably where a lot of the movement's happening these days. Like more and more people who play video games, which are more mainstream, are becoming aware that, hey, there's this huge industry out there for board games, card games, stuff that's not like, the crappy things that you used to play when you were a kid, like, Scrabble and Monopoly. And, there's actually really good games out there now that are quite a bit more like video games than they realize. So, which is interesting. But Tabletop Day is actually this weekend. So it's on the 30th of April. In order to get everyone to, get together and play some more tabletop games, given that we're a video game show, we thought we'd talk about some of the stuff that has pretty much, crossed the lines and sits into that grey area where it pretty much is both. And we've all got some good examples of games that we've played before that sort of, have been adapted for digital or digital games that have pretty heavy tabletop elements. So
My list kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
as I
yeah.
thought
Really
about
did.
it.
it's amazing when you start breaking it down
impressive.
and realise how many you've gone through. So, yeah. Well, I guess the first thing we can talk about is, technology and how it relates to tabletop games. So there's quite a few tabletop games these days that actually have technological elements in them, which, push them more and more into video game territory. Some of it's really simple, like some of them use basic scoring apps, which you can have on mobile devices and things. Some of them are a fair bit more complicated. So a good example is XCOM, which of course started as a video game first. There's actually a board game of XCOM which you play with a mobile device, because the mobile device actually works out a lot of the random elements of the game for you, like the alien sort of attacking locations and the likelihood of them beating you and all that sort of stuff. So it's almost like a hybrid in that respect. You're kind of playing a digital game as well as a board game at the same time. So have you guys encountered any other games that use sort of technology to kind of achieve what the game's built to do?
There was a game a while ago, unfortunately it didn't go very well, called Exilus.
Yeah.
Which did a lot of... It had miniatures that you would use on a table, but then you'd have like a stylus-style pen that would track things, and the mobile device would work out all the number crunching, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that one I know of. And then there's just... It's mostly just supplementary stuff rather than a core driving mechanic so far that I've found.
Alchemist is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It allows the manipulation of the alchemical components so that they're in a different format for each different game, and you actually use the camera on your mobile device with the app to keep track of the game you're playing and to take photos of your guesses so that the game can tell you if you're on the right track or what the result is of the components that you mix and stuff. Mm-hmm. Very, very clever. Really great game.
Yeah. Do you guys remember, and this may be sort of going a bit young for you two, a really old game called Nightmare? So, which was actually
holy crap,
played-
man.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I still have that somewhere.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So Nightmare was a fear-inducing board game that was actually played with a VHS cassette tape, which sort of gave you some of the narrative elements of the game and was designed to basically scare you senseless. Now, of course, these days it just doesn't stand up to the quality of games in general.
Not quite.
Yeah, it's pretty woeful, but. You had this Grim Reaper type figure.
1991.
Oh man, it's old.
Oh,
yeah,
Wow.
memories.
long time ago. I'm impressed that you've got it, Jamie, or you had it at one point.
We had it. Oh, I know we had it
Oh, there's a sequel. Wow.
well into the noughties. Like, I remember finding it when we were packing at one point. I hope we've still got it somewhere, one of us. That was epic. We played it. We were so young when we played it, and every time we had cousins around, we'd play it. If they hadn't played it before, they'd shit themselves.
So I guess
Great.
by the bare definition of it, that could have been possibly one of, if not the first tabletop game verging into video game, because it literally had a video.
One of the forerunners.
Yeah.
So different from everything else. We were so excited when we got it. It was just the most incredibly innovative thing that we'd ever heard of.
Yeah, super cool. And I think I'm sure that if you saw a copy of that game in decent condition going on eBay, it would go for a mint these days. So
It's about $20 to $50. I just checked.
Wow, okay. Pure nostalgic value. I would have thought it'd be more, but cool. All right. There you go. I think as we look at a lot of the different things that have been trending in as far as technology and tabletop games, you can almost divide a line between on one side you've got games that have been they started out as tabletop games and they have entirely or elements of them have been adapted to work in a digital realm. And then on the other side, you've got games that are actually sort of like tabletop games, but they are built for a digital environment. So they're built as video games first, but a lot of the way they play and the way they work sort of emulates what you'd expect out of a tabletop game. So we've probably got some good examples for this. So Ollie, you were talking about a couple off the bat, and one of them I'm going to agree with you straight away on because it's pretty freaking obvious, I think. So
Which one? Because there's many.
Hearthstone.
Okay. So yeah, with Hearthstone in particular, and as much as it pains me to talk about it, it is a really good game. I actually really enjoy it. So this is distinctly a tabletop card game designed for a digital realm. So in that you can go, okay, I cast a random spell from the entire game. You cannot do that in a traditional tabletop card game unless you have the entire collection of cards available to you.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, and a lot of the random number crunching and all that sort of thing is done under the hood, and so you just get the nice, pretty results of it.
Yeah.
And it very well done. Compared to, say, Jewels of the Planeswalkers, which is the Magic the Gathering digital version. That does a little bit of that, but it's still definitely, here is a tabletop game that we've put on a digital platform.
Yeah.
It doesn't take full advantage of that digital ability, essentially.
Yeah, Magic's a tricky one because Magic the Gathering as a card game, of course, was never originally designed with digital in mind. It was always
exactly.
designed as a
fine.
paper game first, yeah. And given how long it's been around, now I think it's over 20 years old, I'm sure of it. And the game has, about 30,000+ cards available, I think. I might have that number slightly off, but it's a lot. It's definitely in the tens of thousands. So that many different cards, that many different rules interactions, trying to adapt that to a digital environment is a nightmare. And, Wizards of the Coast have tried, because, the game's certainly big enough and brings in enough cash that people, would love to be able to play it online. And they actually do have the Jewels of the Planeswalkers, as Ollie mentioned, which are, like a digital sort of crack at, a small portion of the game set. They're sort of games themed around particular sets and time periods of Magic where the total card pool is a bit more limited than the entire game in existence. But they also do have like a version of Magic the Gathering online, or it's often it's very unworthy.
Great.
Yeah, it's really not good. Yeah, otherwise known as Modo. A lot of professional players use it though, because what it enables them to do is to actually practice decks that they would use in live environments at tournaments and other competitive events. So being able to get as many extra games in as possible when they don't have people physically available to play allows them to, compete at that competitive level because they've got enough hours of practice in. So
it's essentially an emulator, a digital emulator, rather than an actual digital game.
Yeah, but aside from the fact that there is real world currency tied up in people's collections.
Yeah,
in
that's really scary.
It's just, it's ridiculous. So, the value of the cards in that online game is probably about a third to a half of the value of them in real terms.
Yeah, it really depends on the cards. But there is a lot of money at stake still.
Yeah, which is crazy. But, that game's stupidly popular because the paper version is stupidly popular. So, yeah.
But one of the main things that I noticed with these sort of games is a lot of the number crunching is, I like this term and I'm going to coin it, trademark it, 2016, is they do a lot of the game mechanics nitty-gritty stuff under the hood. So any of the random number generation, and any of the like random elements that need to be done, or any of the background stuff that the players might need to update constantly, is all done by the PC in the background.
Yeah.
And that just streamlines the experience so much.
I think general data tracking is kind of what it comes down to as well. And to use a really good Hearthstone example of where this improves the game, there's a card in Hearthstone called Reno Jackson, which basically, when you play it, it heals you up to full if your deck contains no more than one of any card. So if you have duplicate cards in your deck, it won't use its effect. So when that card is actually able to activate, like when its sort of condition has been fulfilled within the game and there is no more than one of any card in your deck, it actually glows yellow when it's in your hand. So you can know instantly, if I play this now, it'll work, versus if it's not glowing yellow, if I play this now, it won't work. And the reason why you have that information available to you is because the game automatically calculates whether it fulfills that condition or not and tells you. So, yeah, which is very different to how a paper game would work.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to physically go through your deck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you would never know.
Yeah.
Until you go, I try this. Oh, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Crap.
But it kind of just speeds gameplay up as well. I mean, having all those calculations done for you. I don't think in a lot of cases it necessarily takes the skill out of it. It kind of just, it saves you on the record keeping. It saves you with mucking around with components and all the sorts of, administrative tasks that can actually make games less enjoyable.
There is nothing wrong with streamlining a game if you keep the core game play and mechanics available.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing wrong with it all. It's a good thing.
I think that Armello is probably a really good example of another game that benefits from that.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example.
So
go on, Jamie.
Armello
Tell us about Armello.
But
well, we've covered Armello a whole bunch, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's such a cute little chess mixed with I don't know what, combat, card playing. I love it.
Pseudo RPG elements.
Yeah, it's it wouldn't work. I don't know how well it would work. I don't see how it could work properly as an actual tabletop game, because there are stealth elements to it which would be incredibly difficult to reproduce unless you secretly sort of took your counters off and kept track of your movements somehow. It's lovely. You can see it's been so heavily influenced by tabletop games, but it's just this beautiful new thing in digital. And I agree that the whole removal of having to set up a game when things are ported to digital like this is just wonderful. It adds to the joy when everything's ready to go and you don't have to
you double
spend
click
20 minutes.
Join game.
Yeah.
As opposed to half an hour of sorting out cards and components.
Yeah.
And a million
not having
little...
to pack up as well.
Oh, yeah, you just go and click the little
100%.
X and we're done.
Yep.
Or keep track of different decks and shuffle and it's wonderful. I know Agricola, I haven't played the digital version, but I've heard it's fantastic, and that is a game that just takes such a long time to set up
Oh, yeah.
and pack up. It has so many components to it, but it's a wonderful game. It's so much fun. I can see why it would be so popular on a digital platform.
I mean, as you well know, I've got Caverna, which is the spiritual successor to Agricola. It's a board game that's very, very similar in a lot of ways. Same sorts of concepts. Generally, you're farming and sort of gathering resources, and it's almost Stardew Valley, the board game, in a lot of ways. But that game is the heaviest box I've ever felt in terms of a board game. The amount of stuff that's in it is ridiculous, and packing that away is a pain in the rectum. It is not fun. So.
I would much rather click a little X in the top right.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention that if you lose a component, you could actually screw up your entire game. So, depending on what it is, sometimes games can be completely unplayable if you lose a couple of the vital pieces. That's never going to happen with a digital game. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I lost my pixels. Oh, no, wait, there they are.
Yeah. I accidentally uninstalled the game. Oh, install.
Thank you, Steam Backup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is good. What sort of games have we played before? I think, between the three of us, we've probably got a fairly good breadth of experience with games that have started out as tabletop games and gone digital and done it very well, or somewhere in between. So, Jam, do you want to start and maybe mention some of the ones that you've played before that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I really like the Carcassonne port.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cute little tile placing game where you can claim different. How would you describe it? Basically, each tile has 4 sides, which will have a farm, a road, a city, or something else. You've got to match sides to sides when you place so that cities connect to cities and farms connect to farms and the roads don't abruptly end on the edge of a tile. And then you can claim those different sections. And it's a good fun game in person on a tabletop. It's great, but it benefits from the digital port in that, again, really quick setup and pack up. But it just gives you those little cues, shows you the legal placements that you can make, makes it very clear because there's different specific rules about what you can and can't claim. Once you've placed a tile with your little meeples, it'll let you know if you've accidentally tried to place it, on a farm that's already been taken by someone else, which you can't do. Little things like that. It's good fun, and it's one of those fun little games if you're in a group somewhere waiting for something, just pass it around.
That's actually a really good point that I didn't even consider with regards to rules. So, digital games will actually tell you if you're screwing something up.
Yeah.
Or just go, ba-boom, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, how often do we play board games and then realise after weeks and weeks that we've been doing something wrong? The game won't let you do it wrong.
Yeah.
You'll normally, very clearly be shown, nah, you're not doing it right. And like Pandemic, I downloaded Pandemic when we decided that we were going to play Pandemic Legacy. Because I'd played it maybe once before and I couldn't remember. And it was wonderful because, again, setup was done for me. The tutorial was really good at showing me the basics of the game, and then actually playing the game against the computer helped clarify how I was meant to be approaching it. I was able to play as all 4 characters cooperatively and gave me a really good grounding and was quite fun. It was equally challenging trying to, figure out the strategy all on my lonesome. Perhaps a little more so because I just couldn't think of everything at once. Whereas in our group of 4, we're pretty good at going, okay, you do this, I'll do that. Oh, but what about this?
Yeah, we've got a 4-player QA process for all of our moves.
Yeah. And we're pretty good at it now, even though the game's trying to completely mess us up.
Yeah.
What else have I played? I've heard, like I said, that the Agricola port is really good, and also Ticket to Ride, which is a game I really enjoy. I haven't tried it, but it's supposed to be a wonderful,
I've played the Ticket to
natural
Ride digital version. It's really good.
Yeah?
Yep. Great family game too. Like, it's described as many as a gateway game because it's great for non-gamers to sort of get into without it being too heavy for them. And the digital version even more so, I think. So yeah, it's a really excellent one.
Yeah, I can see that because it's such a basic premise. It just allows people to really sink into it without having to worry about too many complex rules or pieces or anything. The other thing, I'm not sure how accurately it applies, but I consider the Jackbox Party Pack to be sort of an extension on tabletop gaming principles, because a lot of the games in the Jackbox Party Pack are just, you can feel the origins. Some are so much like Pictionary or Boulder Dash, the games that you can play sitting around, wordplay games, those sorts of things, that they've just shifted them to this digital platform where you still have to have a lot of interaction, but it really works well on the big screen, and they've tweaked it to make it a little more enjoyable with the fact that you can have a little more secrecy and interaction just by using your mobile devices. So I think that's another good example, even though it's not perhaps strictly tabletop. But yeah, those would be my ones.
It's probably a good example of where they've taken a game, adapted it for digital, but also built elements onto it that only would work in digital as well.
Yeah, and they keep spinning off into sort of similar editions of games that when they hit something, when something works really, really well, they build on it and they're developing it more. I think they're going to be releasing some standalones. It's good fun.
Nice. What about you, Ollie? What are your faves?
I've got a few. So I'll start off with a pair of deck building games. So these are games where you construct decks of cards to basically snowball effect and eventually achieve the game's objectives. So for me, I have the Ascension deck building game, because that is a direct port of the actual physical card game, and it works brilliantly.
Funny you should mention that, because our friend Dave actually bought the physical copy of that game after playing the digital version because he enjoyed it so much.
So did I.
Yeah. Nice. There you go. Yeah.
Also, the Penny Arcade card game.
Yeah.
That worked very, very well. Played it at
That
PAX.
was good fun.
Quite similar to Ascension, but good game, yeah.
Yes. What was the other one I had? Mordheim, City of the Dam, and Blood Bowl. And Space Hulk were my 3 Games Workshop ones. So Mordheim's not a direct port, but Blood Bowl and Space Hulk are pretty much direct ports from the tabletop game straight into the digital. And they work really well because they're a very solid rule set. The ones that are like games that exist already, XCOM. XCOM is so similar to a tabletop. Well, I should say the squad mode stuff is so similar to some tabletop sci-fi games out there, like Infinity, for those other nerds at home, that it's ridiculous. Like, so many of the mechanics are the same that I swear the guys that did the tabletop game just went, I like all of those things. We put them in game now.
It's worth noting, though, that even though the XCOM computer game would be really suitable to a tabletop adaptation, the actual tabletop version of XCOM is very different to the video game. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And the other one that I really liked that became a board game was Banner Saga. Banner Saga is a great game. If you haven't played it, do yourself a favour, pick it up. It's awesome and beautiful art style. And it just reminded me of a board game with the way that the game works with decision making and the progression of the story and the party that you have. And yeah, apparently the board game kicks butt as well. So it's pretty tops.
Nice.
And of course, Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Let's mention that one.
So on the list of Games Workshop ones that you mentioned, I definitely second Blood Bowl because that game is seriously good, and the digital version just makes it even more accessible. So being able to play Blood Bowl online against other people all across the world using that rule set is awesome. And the way that the theme has been built into that game with all the animations and the character, sound bites and the graphics and all that sort of thing, really, really good. Similarly, Games Workshop also released a digital adaptation of Warhammer Quest, which was one of their really old sort of titles based around sort of, dungeon crawling and looting, monster-filled caverns of treasure and, a lot of your sort of standard fantasy character tropes in there. So you've got your barbarian, your elf, ranger, your human wizard, all that sort of thing. But the game is really stupidly fun and really well adapted to digital, and plays out as like a narrative campaign as well. So you can actually, it's quite a big area to cover, lots of different, loot and magic equipment and that sort of stuff. And to their credit, they've actually added onto the game quite a bit with downloadable character packs and additional sort of quests and adventures. So there's a lot of content there. So done a really, really good job with that one. I like Ascension a lot. A really good board game that I've played quite a bit of is the Dungeons and Dragons themed Lords of Waterdeep. Now, Lords of Waterdeep is kind of it's a worker placement game. So it's very D&D themed. So you kind of in the city of Waterdeep itself, which is based in the Forgotten Realms setting. So some people might be familiar with that. And the idea is you're basically using different areas of Waterdeep to sort of gather resources for sending characters on adventures. But it's not so much about the adventures. The game's more about, the resource side of things. So actually trying to get as many points from successful adventures as possible based on, what you actually use to achieve them. But there's a digital adaptation of it, and it's a really, really good adaptation. It's one of the challenges with it, though, as an adaptation is it's a game that has a lot of information that needs to be visible on it. There's a lot of moving parts, and it can get quite busy at times. And I think that the app for it probably struggles a little bit with that because you kind of want to keep an eye on what all of your opponents are doing. So each time you take a turn in the digital game, it actually shows you what your opponents have done in their previous turns, sort of before you start your own, and it can get a bit confusing because there's a lot of information. But that being said, everything else about that game is solid. So the digital version is great, particularly if you already know how to play it. If you're learning for the first time, the digital one might be a bit overwhelming, but if you playing, having known how it works, then it's really, really solid. So
that's good.
Definitely recommend that one. Yeah,
love that game.
It takes a while though. Like we tried to play it in the queue at PAX, and we just ran out of time. So yeah, I think you probably want an hour or two for that one. But it's good pass and play as well. So you can sort of have like a single iPad or something like that and just pass it around a group, which is a cool way to do it. A really good recommendation for younger audiences. There's a really simple game called Hey, That's My Fish, which is themed around penguins basically moving around on an iceberg, trying to pick up and eat fish. And the idea is that basically each hex on the iceberg that you step on, as soon as you step off it, it falls away and leaves a hole there. So you can only continue moving forward. You can't sort of double back. And as soon as you run out of sort of board space to sort of walk on, you can obviously no longer get to any of the other fish. So you're basically trying to plan out a route that won't get you cut off. And, you're trying to cut off the other players' penguins and, keep all the fish for yourself. So, but the digital
looking
app...
this up right now.
Oh, it's great. The digital app does it really, really well.
It's a really cool game.
It's simple. It's a good one for young kids. So, yeah. So highly recommend that one. So yeah, they're kind of my recommendations. The Pandemic's really good as well, so check that out. That's a solid game in every form that it exists in. So it's kind of a shame that Pandemic Legacy isn't available in digital game form, but I totally understand why it's not. So
yeah,
no, they're really, really good. I think a lot can be said for the ability to play some of these games remotely with people as well. I mean, the great thing about board games is that if you have a like-minded group of people that can physically get together to play games, board games are great. But not everybody has that. We're very fortunate that we do, and we actually don't live that far away from each other, so we can kind of get together and play games. But for people who can't, some of these titles they'll never get to experience unless there's an option for them to do it remotely. And there's various simulators available online where you can sort of simulate board games that exist, sort of just using an app that kind of recreates some of the graphics from the game board and the components and that sort of thing. But when a game is actually designed to be able to play multiplayer over an internet connection in digital form, there is some really, really good opportunities for people to play when they normally wouldn't be able to. So it's good. And some of them can be quite competitive, Blood Bowl being a good example. So,
oh, yes.
Yeah, which is cool. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good list of recommendations. So anyone want to add anything to that before we wrap it up?
I can't
Board
think of
games are cool.
anything.
Yeah.
Play board games, both normal and digital ones.
Yep.
The end.
And play lots of them this weekend because it's a thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then just do it next weekend because you can play them anytime and it's still a thing.
What are you guys doing on Saturday?
Well, that's a good question.
We should play board games.
I could be keen
I was
for
going to
that.
watch movies, but I could also play board games.
Woo, board games.
Sweet.
Oh, yes, Civil War. Oh, we have to go see Civil War. Oh, what a good week.
Well, as a young Mexican girl once said, why don't we do both?
Yes.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Oh, also, just side note, I got the little dongle for using the Xbox One remote wirelessly with your PC. Really
Yeah.
good, really handy. I think it retails for $30 Australian, and I am enjoying it because I like playing my games with Xbox controller whenever possible.
That could be good for a group environment where you're all playing one of these games as well. You can pass around the controller. It's a bit easier when someone's not sitting physically in front of a computer. So, yeah. Nice. All right, well, we'll leave it there and get back to our relative gamings outside of the show.
I'm already playing Slither.
Oh, nice, yeah. I've got to admit, I'm as professional as I possibly can be because it's taken every ounce of my self-control not to play Hearthstone while we've been doing
Dodo's
this
trying to kill me. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, amazing.
I am not professional.
Never
No,
claimed
you are. Your cats aren't.
My cat's... No, it's a little guy called Dodo with an American flag skin. It's just trying to cut me off.
Those are your cats.
No.
We'll let Jamie get back to her slithering. In the meantime, if you want to...
I gotta go shoot some hoops.
You want to hit us up with some more game ideas, send us an email, mail@partyloaded.com. You can also comment on some great game ideas on our Twitter or Facebook, so check us out at
Like
Party Loaded
hoops.
Show. facebook.com/partyloaded. And of course, if you enjoy the show and would like to let us know, one great way you can do that is by hopping onto iTunes and giving us a 5-star review if you're enjoying what you're hearing. And that would be sweet. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and if you know any cool free browser games for us to try out, let us know, because it seems to be a theme at the moment.
Yeah, not
Good
Farmville
fun.
though. None of these crappy Facebook games. You know,
Oh,
there's a few good ones, but
Why you
there's a
gotta be so
lot of
hard, man?
shit out there as well.
There goes
damn.
half our audience.
Yeah, that's it.
Damn.
All right.
And a $10 million Facebook deal. God damn it.
Sure you did.
I think the closest I'm
one
likely to
little worm
get playing
just
games
totally
on Facebook is
went
probably
straight
going to
into-
be doing some Oculus VR stuff. That's probably all I'm interested in as well. Anyway, so, all right. Well, until next week, enjoy and bye.
Ta-ra!
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.